Ciaran, thanks for hopping on, bud. I wanted to just get on and chat about Vitality and what you're up to, how you got started with it, how you went through the whole process, because I believe you're one of the originators, and you could take us through that whole process. But yeah, just get to know you a little bit better, get to know Vitality a little bit better, and talk about all the different stuff you offer, why people come to Vitality, what you guys are doing to compete in the market, why you're in the business to begin with, of what you guys are doing. So maybe just start out by sharing, what got you interested in what you're actually doing these days, and how'd you go kind of on that journey?
Right. So, yeah, first and foremost, for people listening, I'm Ciaran Wentz. I'm one of the founding partners of Vitality Wellness Center. And, my health journey started like 10 years ago when I was getting out of college and realized that health was more about working out, eating healthy. And I was an entrepreneur just trying to be a better version of myself. And I started looking for different modalities and different things that I could use to optimize my own life, my recovery, my performance, my sleep, my energy levels, everything in between. So I started getting into this whole biohacking space, and I realized it all comes down to optimal cell function and getting your cells working, because you can take the right supplements, drink the right water, eat the right food, but if your cells aren't in a place to receive all these things, then we're just going to excrete all these sometimes very expensive things that we try to put in our bodies to optimize. But without the right cellular retention, you know, you could almost be doing more harm than good or not doing anything at all. So I started really getting into mitochondrial function and cell health. And for me, getting sunshine and exercise and meditation and tapping into the basics was a good start for me. And that started making me realize like there was really value in this biohacking space. So I started seeking out all these different modalities, and I saw there was a problem. And the problem is all of the stuff was scattered all over the place. Nowhere had it in one spot. And other than that, I had a high barrier to entry. So it was very expensive for people to get into, get on a pulse machine or get in a float pod or sit in a salt room. And to put such a high price on something that's so new to the market, it kind of, I saw, scared people away, and they were too skeptical to try something for that high a price. So I was very grateful through my own journey to start figuring out what works, what doesn't. Discovered the Covery and Restore and iCryo and all these other different places. And I was going to all these different places to do salt room, float, cryo. And I met some guys and we decided to put everything in one place. And the value that I have gotten from combining these different modalities has not only changed my life, but what's really cool, Joe, is I've seen it now dozens of times help other people's lives. And people have looked me dead in the eye and said, Ciaran, I've been struggling with this for years and years and years. No doctor could help me figure it out. No specialist could help me figure it out. But something along these biohacking lines, something has changed and I've gotten results. And I just want to thank you. Yeah. And that was like my big aha moment. And a big foundation to all of that has been Pulse PEMF. It's really been a foundation. You'll love this story. I partnered with these guys to do Vitality, and we're putting everything together. And I said to Ozzy, hey, we need to put PEMF in here, because PEMF is a foundational modality, as you're very well aware, and you love to stack things. I love to stack biohacks. PEMF is foundational. It makes cryo work better. It makes the sauna work better. It makes red light work better. It makes you absorb more oxygen, more hydrogen. Inflammation, I mean, it is the foundational technology for all of this. So I told Ozzy about Pulse PEMF, and just like a lot of people, when they don't know about PEMF or like any of this stuff, of course, they're a little skeptical. They don't know what it's about. They hear pulse electromagnetic field therapy, and they're like, what the heck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And put him on one session, put him on the bed, and he got off of it. And he's like, yep,
Done.
this is amazing. Done. Like, take my money. Let's get this thing in here. And now, Joe, it is the most popular thing that we offer at Vitality. And I give tours, and we have over 16 modalities at Vitality Wellness. Cryotherapy, contrast therapy, float therapy, IV therapy, hyperbaric, red light therapy, compression, sauna, salt room. We have the superhuman protocol. We have a nano V. We have all this stuff, and people ask me, Ciaran, what's your favorite thing in here? And I tell people, if I could have one thing for the rest of my life, the one thing that's changed my life is the Pulse PEMF bed, for what it's done for me. It's fixed my herniated discs in my back. And I use that word fixed lightly because I did physical therapy and inversion therapy and yoga and all this targeted physical therapy on my L3, L4, L5. And nothing got into my spine and helped it heal like the Pulse bed did. So for me to be able to share that with everybody in Vitality and put it all now at an affordable price, all in one place, it's a game changer.
Man, that's awesome. That's an awesome story. And yeah, I appreciate obviously all the feedback on Pulse specifically. We think the same, I could go in a couple different directions on what you said as part of that story. We could talk for a long time. One of the things you said was you talked about people just not being ready for certain things. So you could be eating right, you could be drinking right, you could be taking all the right supplements, I think you said. But if your environment as your body isn't prepared to fully realize the benefits of those things, then yeah, I think you said you're either wasting money or you're wasting time or both. The simple story I use is, have you ever waxed your car, but you forgot to wash it first? You spend a lot of money on wax. You just can't get enough wax on the car at that point because you're rubbing around the dirt, basically. Your shoulder gets sore and the car looks a lot worse than when you first started. But if you just wash the car, prepare the environment for what you're about to spend money on and spend time on to do it and optimize the look of the car, right? Just like the body. If you just wash the car first, well, now you spend less money on wax, your shoulder doesn't hurt as much, and the car looks awesome. And so it's really just a simple message of providing preparation for the environment. And you referred to body, I referred to a car, perhaps. But, it's just like gardening too. Fertilize the garden before you plant seeds and the seeds will do better.
Exactly.
So, that's all really great.
The body and they're both vehicles, are they not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, totally. So how long did that process take of kind of, envisioning Vitality to opening the doors? Was it a couple of years or what was it like?
Yeah, it was a culmination of a couple of years between me and my partners. I had kind of this vision of putting everything in one place. And then I met these guys who already had the resources, the time and money to kind of make it happen. So we all teamed up, put our heads together, and Joe, it was a couple months. It was like, hey, let's do this. They already had the real estate set aside. Ozzy already had a lot of these modalities at his house. He had hyperbaric oxygen and vibration plates and some other little things. So as soon as we decided to put it all in one place, it happened really fast. It was the end of last year. The idea came to fruition. And then in February of 2023, at the beginning of this year, we opened up the doors. And we've been growing ever since. Our second location is actually opening up October 14th is our official grand opening. Mm-hmm. And that is right outside of downtown St. Pete. And downtown St. Pete and St. Pete in general is kind of a pretty hip place for health and wellness and this whole biohacking space. And, the stuff that sometimes people go, oh, that's kind of weird, or I've never heard of that. Like people here in St. Pete love the weird.
Progressive.
They love the progressive, the holistic healthcare. So I'm really excited about where we're positioned to open up here in downtown, and the city is going to love it. We have a steam room coming in there too. So imagine getting a little pulse PEMF, getting into that parasympathetic, relaxed state, and then going and sitting in a nice steam.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
going to be
That
amazing.
sounds awesome. Well, I'm going to probably hit you guys up in November then. After you guys open up, I'm coming through there, headed down to Naples in mid-November. So
You better.
hopefully we'll be able to stop off and bug you guys for a while.
You know you're welcome anytime.
Talk about the market a little bit, your community and the demographics. What kind of people come into Vitality? What are they generally looking to accomplish? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Everybody walks in the door usually feeling kind of crappy or sore or low energy or fed up with something that they can't solve through the common healthcare system. And we get everyone from the young athletes, high school athletes, all the way up to the retirees. And St. Pete's a very broad market. We have everybody from the families, the young athletes, the young professionals, the entrepreneurs, the 9 to 5 corporate people. There's a big hippie crowd here in St. Pete. And then you have the retiree community. So there's really a cool, diverse group of people here in St. Pete. And a common denominator amongst them all is they all are seeking better health. And it's really sad, Joe, and you probably see this too, is a lot of people, the majority of people out there aren't in a good state. Majority of the time they're living in a fight or flight, stressed out state.
Mm-hmm.
Their job, their work, their lifestyle is just highly stressed out. And again, they might be working out and trying to eat healthy, but I'm here to tell you that's a great foundation to start for health, but that's not the answer. You need to do more. You need to be recovering your body. You need to be putting your body in a relaxed parasympathetic state. You need to be taking care of your cells and getting the proper light and getting the right stressors on your body, like heat stress or cold stress.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the athletes that come in that really see immediate value because they're sore, they're tired, they're broken down from being an athlete. I see a lot of that. We actually have a couple sponsored athletes too, but I also see a lot of retirees who are past that 50, 55, 60, 65 age mark, and they're just tired and they don't have that much energy, and they've just been doing the same thing for years. They've never heard of any of this stuff, and they'll come in and sit on that pulse bed or get a cryo session in, and to see their just whole energy in their eyes, their whole vibration of who they are just like lights up. I see it really big results in the older crowd, especially with devices that help the cells like the Nano V, the Pulse. It's really incredible. So we get a bunch of different people that come in, and everybody comes in feeling pretty and then they leave and they're like, I haven't felt this good in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
And it happens almost every day, which means we're onto something. We're doing something right.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier too that it's, for a while in your experience, you realized you had to get back to basics, light and the right nutrition and the right rest. And it's not, sometimes we tend to overcomplicate things. And I know, you have 16 services, you said, at Vitality. And so, but I don't think of that as complicated, because all of those services and all those modalities are just providing the body with some natural needed element that we just don't necessarily get in our everyday life, whether that's because of how society has quote unquote evolved, and now there's a lot more technology in the air and frequencies that are no good for us, and the food quality and the water quality and all that stuff's questionable. And so as time goes on, the way I look at it is it's more and more necessary to have supportive assistance from the outside. Yeah. No matter how good you are at, being really disciplined at, eating, drinking, and moving, let's just say. And, when you talk about athletes, really this applies to everybody. One of the things I like to talk about, and you alluded to it there, when you talked about energy and just giving people enough energy, is in any walk of life, you need to perform, whether you're in business, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a doctor, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a student, parent, whatever. And it's either performing physically or mentally or both, right? Well, in order to perform at your best, you need to do some sort of training. And so whether that's, again, physical, mental training, you're always sort of preparing to perform like that by training, practicing, and things like that. In order to train your best, you need to, you said it before, recover your best, and so that you can always be as intense or more intense as you were the last time you trained. In order to recover your best, you need to rest your best. And that requires, bringing the nervous system down and being able to get that regenerative rest so that your body does recover. The thing that most people miss is what you need in order to rest your best. And a big component of that is you need the right energy in the body, because the body tries to do a lot when you're attempting to rest, and a lot of it takes energy. And if you don't have enough energy in the body, then it starts to steal from other resources, and your rest isn't optimized. It's not as good as it could be. And what did we say? If you don't rest as good as you could, you're not going to recover as well as you could. Then you're not going to train as well as you could, and then you're not going to perform as well as you could. So,
Of course.
that's kind of why, and you said it earlier too, people think of PEMF, or you think of PEMF as a foundational thing. Well, really all it's doing is providing energy into the body. It's those chain reactions and how that energy gets manifested, either through a high level of performance or whatever the body happens to need at that time, whether it's, oh, I need something here, this is bugging me, I need something here. It could really be anything. So I appreciate the lead into that one. That's because that's something I like to talk about a lot. As you know. So that's very cool. Let's see, where do we want to go next with this? How does the business model work at Vitality? Is it a membership model? Do people just come in off the street and, they pay you a certain amount to do whatever service they want? Is it, how does that work?
Yeah, so we want to make this as easy and affordable and as accessible as anywhere else that's doing this. So we have a membership and we have a credit system. So you can come in, and with our membership options are the most valuable because we have the most perks, and we really incentivize you to become a member because it is a credit system. Each service is 30 minutes generally for one credit. So you can do a 30-minute session of PEMF and then go do a 30-minute sauna, and then you do a 30-minute compression. Each one of those would be a credit. There's no monthly commitments. The credits roll over. Our memberships, you can share your credits. So say you're married or have a spouse, partner, or even a friend or a coworker, and you want to gift them one of your credits, you can do that. Say somebody doesn't want the monthly commitment, you can get a credit pack and just buy credits a la carte and use those as you use them or as you use the services. And those also roll over. So we don't hold you to a contract. We don't charge you for credits one month and then they expire the next month. We really are trying to bring the most value to the space so people can see that this stuff works. So it's a very, very
user-friendly,
value-based, as I say, business model. And our motto is we're trying to make a recovery as easy, affordable, and as accessible as training is. You can go get a gym membership for $20 a month. Why can't you go to a recovery studio at our most expensive price point? It's $30 for one credit. As soon as you get into our memberships, the credits go down to $20 a credit, $15 a credit, all the way down to $10 a credit. Mm-hmm. So that means, Joe, if you're on our unlimited membership, we charge $300 a month. You can come in and use as much as you want all month long, unlimited. Mm-hmm. For $300 a month. You can come in and do a PEMF session every single day for $300 a month. That's $10 a session.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're making it
insane.
Easy. You're making it really
it easy.
The model is user-friendly. No huge commitments. Yeah, it's reasonably priced. So no wonder you're drawing in, a bunch of folks. Plus all the
Exactly.
services rock. So couldn't be better. Win-win.
I love doing, we have a hydrogen machine and an oxygen machine and a red light panel in our PEMF room.
Mm.
And I will take, if you're on our bed, you get red light on your crown, on your head, increasing blood flow into the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the choice of putting oxygen or hydrogen on in a nasal cannula and breathing in these extremely potent gases that you can breathe in. Oxygen is super saturating to the cells. It boosts the immune system. Hydrogen is just oxygen on steroids. There's an extra O2 attached to it. So it's an extremely good antioxidant. And like we talked about earlier, pulse allows things to get into the cells easier. So if you're doing these stacking, combining them, it's really efficient for cellular absorption. We can also do IVs while you're on the PEMF bed, which, as you know, increases absorption of the micronutrients in the IV. It's cool. We love stacking stuff at Vitality, and to be able to come in and do a pulse session while breathing in hydrogen while getting red light on your head for $30 at the most expensive price point, it's unmatched value.
Yeah. So, yep. And yeah, stacking is awesome. People want to save time. They want to do multiple things at once. They want to get increased efficacy, increased effectiveness. They want to relax while they're doing it. So you got all those bases covered. Now on the IV side, is that something you guys have done since the beginning, or is that something you added? You did it since the beginning? Okay.
Yeah, so we're actually partnered. The way we decided to do this, we partnered with a really cool local company that's firefighter owned and operated,
Mm-hmm.
and they're a team of paramedics that started an IV company, and we're all good friends. So we combined resources and we put this IV company into the business. And what's cool about our IV side is it's not just IVs. We can do all phlebotomy services. We can do your blood work. We can check your hormones. We can prescribe. We have a medical director, so we can pretty much prescribe you anything you need, from peptides to hormone replacement to basic blood work to micronutrient testing to efficient biomarkers. So if you really want to get it into the nitty gritty and do a panel test, and every 3 months, track your levels, track your micronutrient, customize your IVs, keep your hormones regulated, and then add in all the modalities on top of that. That is something for the biohackers or for the real big health enthusiasts that's available for them also.
Yep. Is that something that's fully caught on, or is that kind of getting ramped up? I mean, how many people participate in that, would you say? I mean, not numbers, but
not as many as they should.
Yeah.
More people definitely should. It's definitely something that people are kind of waking up to and realizing, like, man, I buy this really nice car and I run all these diagnostics on my car every 3 months and I make sure my car is in tip-top shape. Why aren't I running these tests and diagnostics on my own body every quarter to see if I'm nutrient deficient, if my cells are absorbing things the right way, if my hormones are in balance? Why don't we treat our bodies like we treat, if you buy a Ferrari tomorrow, you're going to, put the best fuel in it. You're going to have the best diagnostics done to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I always preach to people, like, treat your body like you would treat a high-end car, like run these tests on it and track yourself.
Sure.
So that's something that I definitely preach at Vitality to the right people that are interested, but it's something we're definitely ramping out and going to market on a broader spectrum. So everybody can realize that that's really the first step in all this biohacking stuff, is figuring out what works best for you, Joe, because your genetics are different than my genetics, and you might absorb a certain type of magnesium different than I do. So we got to get down to the nitty gritty of that stuff to really hyper personalize and help people. And that is the goal with Vitality eventually, is we are going to offer this really personalized wellness journey that we can track.
Yeah. Awesome.
So,
no, that's great.
mm-hmm.
Just another question on IVs, because, we've heard some anecdotal evidence out there, people stacking IV with PEMF and getting some faster run times on the IVs and some potentially better results. And so I know a little of that is subjective, but are you guys seeing anything like that? Is there anything you all have noticed thus far with that stack?
Yes, not only personally, but I've seen some of our clients that do it, some of our biohackers that come in, they request to do their IVs with PEMF, specifically NAD therapy.
Yep.
And because, as we know, PEMF increases blood flow and circulation. And if you do have any circulation issues, or maybe you're dehydrated, or maybe your body's not just, again, your cells aren't happy the day that you're getting the IV, the PEMF is going to wake up the cells and allow them to absorb the micronutrients in the water much more efficiently. And more so, I notice it with myself when I do my NAD therapy. I will go low and slow on the PEMF. So barely, so I can feel it. High pulses per second, more of just a grounding, circulatory effects. I can barely feel it, but I can still relax. Because if I'm, as you know, NAD can be a little intense. So if you do NAD on a high pulse per second, you can't really relax. And then again, you're not in a parasympathetic state. You're not absorbing as well. But NAD, as you know, it's pricey. And if your cells aren't ready to absorb that NAD, you might really be wasting a lot of money. So I've noticed extremely more efficient results when I stack the pulse with the NAD. Not only do I absorb it better, I notice, because the results last longer and they're more potent, but the IV is easier for me to handle, and my body's in a better parasympathetic state, and I'm not trying to fight the NAD. I'm much more relaxed. And instead of taking 2 hours to go through a bag of NAD, I'm doing it in about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Comfortably. And to me, that's a big deal. So
Yeah.
I want to get the NAD. I want to get the results. But some days I don't want to sit there for 2 or 3 hours and slowly absorb it. Because as we know, IVs, they say the slower, the better, the more absorbability. But 2 to 3 hours to sit there and get NAD can be a haul some days. So the PEMF is a game changer for that.
Yeah, great. That's great. I appreciate that feedback. Yeah, I've not done NAD, but I've heard, countless people who have their complaints, about how long it is and how it makes you feel, basically. And so if you can make it faster and minimize the symptoms and the feelings, from a business model, I would imagine, it's better for the patient or the client or the member. It's also better for the business because now you could do more per day. People are getting better results. People are happier with the way they feel during and after. And so maybe more people will try it just because maybe they've heard horror stories about it. But if you're telling them we have a way to address that, maybe you get more people doing it there. And it is a moneymaker, I would imagine, for your center. So
it's been a huge needle mover for me specifically. I mean, PEMF is literally, and I don't just say this because we're talking about pulse, but it is my favorite biohack. It's given me so much value. I mean, if I'm sore, it fixes me. If I'm tired, it fixes me. If I feel amazing and have all the energy in the world and I don't need anything that day, but I still sit on the pulse bed and do a session, it somehow amplifies me that much more. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool. We have people that stack it with the Nano V and they really like that. And I think it definitely helps the absorbability and the mechanism of the protein folding with the Nano V. But what a game changer it's been. And to see people with pain in their bodies or lack of mobility get on this bed and after 30 minutes be like, I can move like I haven't moved in 10 years, or I haven't been able to lift my hand above my head in 15 years. And now I can do that after one session. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's what keeps me in this business. I sold healthcare IT for 20 years, and it was always valuable to share, how a hospital CFO can, increase their bottom line by $15 million this quarter if you put in my software type message. That's valuable, right?
Yeah.
But same as you just referred to, when I get somebody off of the technology that says, "Hey, this usually hurts when I do this," now it doesn't. That kind of gets me out of bed in the morning, and just keeps me going on this. I don't think I'll ever retire. This is the funnest thing I've ever done. So I appreciate.
And it's cool, Joe, because the pulse bed, you get immediate results from it. They get off at one session and they get results from it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you keep doing it and the compounding results over time,
Mm-hmm.
it just keeps getting better and better. And especially when you can target things acutely, like we do with the pads or the rings, and really get into an injury point that just, you can't cut your shoulder open and do open surgery and fix a torn rotator cuff, but you can put a pulse pad on your shoulder and wake up that injury point and get some extra blood flow and oxygen and energy going, and now your body can heal it naturally.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
That's a big
And
deal.
that's why it's been used for these equestrian use for decades now. I mean, there's no, rebuttaling the fact that this has helped racehorses for decades now.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it help humans?
There's something about owning a $5 million racehorse. You don't want the thing to ever be in pain or, ever have any issues of, recovering for the next race or the next run or whatever, the next show, whatever it might be.
Yep.
But yeah, that's great. Hey, I wanted to ask you, you guys are, you're kind of like a retail business, right? Yes, you're a membership model, and you're a wellness center, and you have personalized, wellness plans for people. Everything we've talked about, but you're a retail business, and you're hiring people, and you're staffing the facility. Or maybe I shouldn't assume this. I should ask you, what types of folks are you staffing the facility with? And my real question goes to, what are some of the challenges in educating your staff on how to sell these modalities? You have 16 modalities. So is that something you can address?
Absolutely. And this is actually something that I took away from the biohacking conference and talking to other business owners. And I see in the space has actually been one of the biggest challenges is hiring the right people that are passionate and educated on all this stuff, and putting them in these facilities and allowing them to not sell anything. Because like I tell my team and my staff, like, we're not here to sell anybody anything. You're not selling it. You are educating people, showing them the value of what it can do for them, asking them questions, seeing if it's something that works for them, giving them a demo, because everybody on their first visit to Vitality gets the demo things for free and see what works for them. And it really sells itself. But just educating our staff members and letting them experience it for themselves. Like, if we have downtime at Vitality and say our new nurse is just hanging out, I'm like, hey, go try the PEMF bed, go do the salt room, like, go do it yourself and see what it does. And as you know, I'm also very passionate about this stuff. So I educate and show our staff members like how things work. And when you come and visit Vitality, we give you a tour. We say, hey, do you want to see the place? Do you want to see everything we have to offer? And this tour is really the opportunity for us to educate and show people what each modality does. Each room has a benefit plate, so you can see visually what the benefits are. And then our staff members are very knowledgeable and they do the stuff themselves. We've educated them and they have passion for what we do and they see how it helps people. So really, they just give a tour, educate people, show people the value of what everything does. And most people say, oh yeah, I have inflammation problems. Oh yeah, I have sleep problems. Oh, I have this pain in my shoulder. And we've gotten really good at listening, because that's all this is listening to people and communicating with them effectively to figure out what modalities works best for them. And from there, Joe, it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
They sign up usually on the same day, and most of our members, our retention rate's really well. Most of our founding members from February are still with us. And people who have come in and figured out, oh, I can do a PEMF and then go do the sauna and then go jump in the ice bath and spend about an hour and a half in Vitality. And I can take a sore, groggy, tired day and turn it into a highly energized, beautiful day just coming into Vitality. And it happens on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Like I said, we're not here to sell anything. We're just here to show people the value of what these holistic modalities have to offer.
Yep.
We're excited. We're passionate about it, and it takes care of itself from there.
Yeah, and you hit on something I talk about all the time. I think the best way to do that is to have your staff using the modalities, using the services, developing their own personal benefit story, of how it helped them on their own journey. Because everyone you hire probably has something going on that can be addressed. You even said that even on days you feel perfect, you could do some of these services and feel even better. It's like Tiger Woods, always he was number one in the world for what, I don't know, decades or something
Yeah,
crazy
forever.
like that. But he always still wanted to get better. I mean, how is
Hmm.
that? How could you get any better than that? He's already the
Yeah.
best, but he had that mentality. And, I just, that came to mind when you said that. And it's what we talk about at Pulse, and you guys talk about it too. You alluded to it. These services are not only for people who are, unwell, but they're also for people that are well, and they're also for the high performers who want to be totally optimized. So really anyone. Um,
Everybody.
and when people ask me, who's the best, who are the best people to try Pulse? I mean, if you don't have a pacemaker and you're not pregnant, get on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Exactly.
say the same thing for all your most of your services, I would imagine.
Yeah. When people come in and I give them a tour, the two things I demo the most are our cryotherapy and the PEMF bed, because I can stick somebody on that pulse bed behind you for 5 minutes and get them to their 6 or 7 tolerance level and let them sit with that. It's 5 minutes. And as you know, the looks you get on people's faces, or the sensate, they're like, oh, I feel, oh, whoa, what is that? And then every single person, for the most part, they feel it in a different part of their body.
Yep.
Oh, I have this old shoulder injury and I feel it there. Or, oh, I feel it in my lower
And
back.
they ask,
Or,
how does it know?
how does it know? And I explain it is, we live in symbiosis with these billions of cells in our body. And when you take care of these cells in your body, they take care of you back. But these cells get stressed out and damaged and oxidized and damaged parts of the body. And that pulse machine knows where the most damaged cells are, because, attention goes, or energy goes where energy, mess that up. Attention goes where energy flows. And where that pulse PEMF finds that injury point in the body is where the cells are lacking their most energy, their most voltage.
Mhm.
And, an old dormant injury is not going to get cellular activity like a healthy part of the body. So the fact that people are aware enough to realize that, wow, this machine is targeting this dormant part of my body and getting in there, it's really cool. I had this gentleman that's been drinking coffee every single morning, and I love some good old coffee. But been drinking coffee, black coffee, on an empty stomach for the last 30 years, every single morning. And as we know now, this can really do some damage to your kidneys and your adrenal glands. You can get serious adrenal fatigue, and there's scientific literature on this. We know this. But for most people, a cup of coffee in the morning first thing is a normal thing. And this guy's been doing it for 30 years. And he sat on the pulse bed. And this guy's a physical therapist. He's very body aware. And he goes, Ciaran, I can feel my kidneys and my adrenal glands.
Mm.
And I looked at him like, do you drink coffee? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, every day? He's like, yeah, first thing in the morning. I'm like, on empty stomach? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure your kidneys and your adrenal glands are a
Working.
little tired
Mhm.
from all of that, cortisol and all that coffee going into your body first thing. And I just invited him to, add some butter into his coffee.
That's all you got to do.
Um, Start hacking, drink a glass of spring water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach before putting the coffee. And he came back like a couple of months later, and he's like, Ciaran, my energy levels have been better, my sleep's been better, my libido's been higher. And he's like, all I did was stop drinking coffee first thing in the morning. But it was that pulse machine that put a sensation into his body that he hadn't felt in 30 years, that woke him up in that exact moment. And he said, wow, maybe I should change this habit.
Yeah.
And that's incredible
That's
to
what he
me.
needed. Yeah. The other way to look at that too is, it's rather than the machine targeting and knowing where to go. Um, I explain it to people that the machine is only putting out a uniform energy field, throughout every part of the body. Your body is telling you where it wants more of it versus I don't need much on this side, for example. And what I like about that is it's very, and you were going in that direction, but it's one of the only opportunities I think I've ever seen where that quickly and that tangibly a person can hear what their body or feel what their body's telling them. And so I think that it's beneficial whether we're running a business like this. We just want to help people understand what their body is telling them. This is a great, tangible, easy, fast way of doing that, where you could turn the whole thing around and say, no, it doesn't know where it is. Your body knows where it needs it, and it's telling you that. So it's a different way of explaining it, but
Yeah, I like
I
that.
don't see that really with anything else that you come across
No.
as far as services or.
And we go to these conferences, Joe, and we've been in the space enough to see all these different technologies, and I love all the different technologies in the biohacking space. Like, it fires me up. It gets me exciting when something new comes out. But man, going back to the basics and the foundation of everything, it's PEMF, and we have the higher dose mat. We've got Da Vinci Medical Group's PEMF mat. I've done Magna Waves PEMF. I've done Amp Coil PEMF. I've done Beamer PEMF. I've done a lot of different PEMF devices, and there's something that pulse bed and technology does that I haven't felt with any of the other technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And to say in my heart and soul, if I could only have one modality for the rest of my life, if you put a gun to my head and said there's only one, what are you going to choose? It would be the pulse PEMF, hands down.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that a technology, because red light, people do red light, right? And they don't get immediate results. Everybody wants immediate results from everything. They don't see it, and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. And I'm like, no, I mean, you have to do it consistently. This is a mitochondrial cellular thing. Your skin cells don't just replace themselves right away and you're glowing. But man, that PEMF machine works. And it works right away.
It's such a good point. And I say this all the time too, in multiple conversations a day. It's not that these other technologies don't work. That's not what anybody's saying. They do work, but they don't always get enough of an opportunity to have the person realize all the benefits, because it's human nature in a lot of cases. And you see a lot of customers come through there. So this is not like Joe, seeing this happen once or twice. You're hearing this probably over and over again, and you maybe have experienced it in your own life, is that if you don't feel something happening from the first couple of times you're trying something, you're kind of scratching your head going, gee, I don't know if it's doing anything. I probably won't try it again. And that's bad. That's not a good thing. I mean, I wish people would give things more of a chance. But from the business side, if you're looking at it from a business owner's perspective, you want people to be engaged early, and you want them to come back, obviously. And so, you want to be employing things that require less education on your part, that you have to convince, no, try it 7 or 8 more times. This is the science behind it. It's potentially going to give you great results. All that's true. But will the person respond to that? That's the thing that kind of concerns me from a business standpoint. The thing I like about PEMF with Pulse is that you can kind of turn that whole story around and say, well, we're making those things even better potentially by including this in your routine. And that's where, and you've said it multiple times, and I know you say you prefer it, and it's foundational and all of that. I have a term that I think I invented it. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but I call it the service zero effect. And so if you had 15 services, so you have 16 services at Vitality, if you had 15 and then you were looking at adding Pulse, I would tell you, Ciaran, this isn't going to be your 16th service. It's going to be service 0, because it's going to
Love that.
hold and support all of the other services and potentially make them better. And so if you have a service that's a lower performer, you could potentially tell people and show people and educate people that, maybe you're not getting the results you like from service, Y. Have you ever considered putting pulse either prior to it or getting a diet of pulse or PEMF, to enhance the benefits of that service? So, it's something that can help support and help lift other services. So I like to say it's service 0. So
It does. That's such a good way to describe it. I can't wait to see the studies, Joe, when they really start getting into this and start doing studies and showing, what happens if you do PEMF and then do an IV. What happens if you could measure your cellular enhancement or your cellular health before and after, or your heat shock protein production after doing pulse with a sauna after, opposed to without the pulse before the sauna. And I know for me personally, I'm very body aware because I do put in the work and I do this stuff frequently enough to recognize the different patterns within myself. And I personally know that PEMF as the foundational thing is what allows everything else to work better.
Yep.
For me personally.
Awesome.
And it's obvious after months and months and months of doing it. If I do my little protocol without doing the PEMF first, I notice a difference.
Very cool.
It's cool. I can't say enough good things about PEMF therapy. And at the end of the day, we talked about this earlier, all these technologies are reconnecting us to nature. The modern man or the modern woman, they wake up in a house, their feet are disconnected from the earth, they're in artificial light, and they're mostly eating processed foods first thing in the morning, and then they get in their car and they're disposed of sunshine from that, and then they get to the office and they're in there all day 9 to 5, and then they get back in their car and they go back home, and then they just went through that whole day not putting their feet on the earth, not getting sunshine in their eyes or on their skin. And that's how you live in dysbiosis with the cells in your body. That's when they get unhappy with you and they turn against you and you get sick and unhealthy, and disease, cancer, and all types of things thrive when your cells aren't happy. Mm-hmm. So this biohacking space and this PEMF and this red light and this cold therapy on a foundational level is reconnecting us with things that our ancestors were exposed to in nature all the time. Mm-hmm. And being able to reduce inflammation and get the right frequencies in the body. And we are energetic beings. We're human biological batteries. Our cells all hold voltage and they need to be fed with energy. And to be able to take a technology and sit inside and get the same benefits 20 times stronger, maybe even more, of the grounding effect on the earth, and being able to charge up your human battery absolutely astonishes me. And I'm just grateful that, we have this technology. It's super cool.
That's awesome. Well, it's been a great conversation. So I guess wrapping up.
Always is, Joe.
Yeah. Wrapping up. Best way to get more information on Vitality? Is it social media? Is it website?
Yeah. So the best number one point of contact is to go on our Instagram at Vitality St. Pete. In our bio is the link to our website, vitalitystpete.com. Every modality is on there. You can learn about it. It's very thorough.
Yep.
And then from that, if anybody wants to reach out to me on my personal Instagram with questions, or you can find me on my own personal Instagram at Ciaran Wentz, or I run our Instagram, so you can reach out to me on Vitality St. Pete. And then anybody in the area in Tampa, Florida, or the Florida area, if you're listening and you hear this podcast, please come in. Your first session is on me, and we can show people firsthand what we got going on.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Ciaran. This has been great, and we'll have to do it again once your next location is up and running, and we'll come by and visit you guys. So appreciate it, man.
Definitely. Hey, Joe. Thank you so much.
Very cool.